Hey everyone, I'm Landon with LMR.com, and in this video I'm going to be installing a set of long tube headers and dynoing our 2018 Mustang GT shop car. For those of you that have followed this car, know it has come a long way from when we first bought it. Up until recently, the car was bone stock engine-wise, all the way down to the paper filter. Like many other enthusiasts that crave more power, we took the opportunity and installed a Roush Phase 1 supercharger kit. Thus far, the kit has been phenomenal, and its 641 horsepower and 567 foot-pounds of torque at the rear wheels is well maintained through the 10R80 10-speed automatic transmission. Okay, so long story short, the car ended up crapping out the driver's side catalytic converter, and instead of sourcing a replacement, we opted for a set of long tube headers with an off-road mid-pipe and custom tune. Now, I have personally installed a few sets of long tube headers on these S550 cars, and they are definitely not an easy task. This is something that will require above average mechanical ability, a decent selection of tools, and I would highly recommend access to a 2-post lift. While you can install long tube headers off of jack stands, trust me on this one, ain't nobody got time for that. All right, enough of me talking. I'm going to be installing a set of long tube headers and doing my best to call out all the little odds and ends that could potentially save you or your installer some time. To begin the install, remove the battery cover and disconnect the negative battery cable. Remove the cold air intake assembly. While you're still in the engine bay, loosen and remove the upper nut, securing the factory manifold to the catalytic converter piping. This is a tight area, but it can be managed with a long 3/8 drive extension, a swivel, and a 15mm deep socket. While you're there, loosen and remove the passenger side motor mount nut. This is accomplished by using the same tool combination that you used previously. Loosen and remove the driver's side motor mount nut as well, again with the same tool combination. Support the car via a lift or get it as high and as safe as you can if you're going to be working off of jack stands. Next is removal of the catback exhaust. This will require additional help. Loosen the 4 nuts on the sleeves, securing the catback to the mid-pipe. Loosen and remove the 2 13mm bolts, securing the IRS cradle hangers. Loosen and remove the 4 13mm bolts securing the muffler hanger to the frame rail. There are 2 bolts per side. Dislodge the muffler hangers from the rear frame rail. Dislodge the IRS cradle hangers from the IRS subframe and have a friend slide the catback out of the sleeves towards the rear of the car. Now you can set the catback aside. Before removing the passenger side catalytic converter assembly, disconnect the lower oxygen sensor. Removal of the lower oxygen sensor at this time is optional. Loosen and remove the lower catalytic converter piping to manifold nut. Be sure and support the catalytic converter pipe so it doesn't come crashing down, and then it can be set aside. Now we need to remove the starter. Loosen and remove the 13mm nut, securing the large wire with a deep socket. Remove the wire and then reinstall the nut a few turns. Do the same for the other wire, except it's held in place with a 10mm nut. Use a deep socket for this nut as well. Remove the wire and then reinstall the nut a few turns. Next, loosen and remove the upper 13mm retaining bolt. This is done with a long 3/8 drive extension and 13mm wobble socket. While supporting the starter with a free hand, loosen and remove the lower 13mm stud. The starter can now be removed from the car. Support the engine and transmission from the bell housing. Go ahead and lift the assembly just a tad. If you have an automatic car, be mindful of the cooler lines. I would strongly advise to not support the engine and transmission by the oil pan if you own a 2018 and newer Mustang. It may also help if you loosen the 2 15mm transmission mount to crossmember nuts. These don't have to be fully removed. If it helps, dislodge the starter wire harness clip and position it out of the way. To remove the motor mount bracket, loosen and remove the lower rearward 15mm nut. If you have an automatic car, Loosen and remove the small 10mm nut on the front side of the bell housing, securing the cooler line. Remove the cooler line brackets from each stud and position the large bracket out of the way underneath the oil pan. Loosen and remove the upper rearward 13mm bolt. Loosen and remove the 13mm stud. The lower frontward hardware is also a nut and a stud. Loosen and remove the 15mm nut. Remove the wire and position it out of the way. Since the stud is tighter than the nut, you'll need more leverage. To do this, pass a 3/8 drive extension through the small opening in between the K-member and steering rack boot. Because this area is tight, you will have to install the deep socket and wobble adapter on the extension after you pass it through the opening. Loosen and remove the 13mm stud. The upper frontward bolt is removed with the same tool combination, except you'll pass the extension through the opening in between the K-member and large electrical harness. Lift the engine as needed and then remove the motor mount bracket. Disconnect the upper oxygen sensor connection. This connection is located at the rear of the cylinder head. Now you can loosen and remove all 8 of the manifold to cylinder head retaining nuts. This will require multiple tools and some patience. Watch your knuckles, as you don't want to slip off of a tool and beat yourself up. All of the manifold nuts are 15mm. With all the nuts out of the way, you may need to also remove a few studs from the cylinder head to fully remove the manifold. You will need an E6 inverted torque socket to remove any studs. Remove the factory manifold and gasket. Make note of the gasket's orientation and condition. If your car has some miles on it, it's probably cheap insurance to purchase new gaskets. At this time, install an oxygen sensor extension into the factory connection at the back of the cylinder head. Route the extension alongside the transmission and temporarily out of the way. Before I continue, I'd like to point out that you may have to remove the passenger side motor mount for additional workroom. If you do, there are 2 15mm bolts that are a pain in the you-know-what to remove because of how much thread locking compound is used at the factory. So depending on the brand of header that you are installing, the factory stud orientation could differ. Typically, I try to reuse as many of the studs and retaining nuts that I can. First, test fit the header and determine which locations can still accept the factory hardware. Be mindful of the spacing between the header flange and the primaries, as this will mainly determine whether or not the factory hardware can be reused. If the factory hardware can't be reused, make sure there is enough room to install the supplied hardware once the header is installed. This simply means that you may have to thread in the supplied bolts a few turns prior to installing the header. I always find it beneficial to add a touch of anti-seize to hardware like this. It's optional, and go about it as you wish. Once you have your plan of attack figured out, make sure the gasket is in place and then install the header. Depending on the hardware, you may just be able to let the header sit in position. If not, loosely tighten some of the hardware. Now that the header is in place, snug down the hardware in an even manner. Because the working area is limited, you won't be able to use a torque wrench. So go ahead and tighten the hardware down, but be careful as the cylinder head is aluminum and it can be damaged if the hardware is over tightened. Once the hardware is tight, you can reinstall the motor mount if you removed it. Reinstall the motor mount bracket. Remember, the upper hardware was bolts and the lower hardware was studs. Tighten the hardware and then lower the engine back onto the motor mount. Reinstall the ground wire at the front of the bracket. Reposition the cooler lines and retighten the associated hardware. Reinstall the starter and the 2 wires. Now you can move to the driver's side. Everything is the exact same, but you have a lot more workroom. You will have to separate the steering shaft from the steering rack. First, mark the shaft and universal joint with a paint pen. Loosen and remove the T40 Torx bolt. Slide the steering shaft out of the joint and set it aside. Make sure it doesn't rotate, or you can lock the steering column prior to disconnecting the shaft. With the steering shaft out of the way, remove the motor mount bracket followed by the 8 15mm nuts. Before removing the factory manifold, don't forget to disconnect the oxygen sensor connections. Like the passenger side, determine which studs can be reused and test fit the header first. Of course, don't forget to install the gasket. Tighten the hardware in the same manner as the passenger side. Reinstall the motor mount bracket and hardware. Reconnect the steering shaft and make sure the marks are aligned with one another. Apply blue thread locking compound to the pinch bolt and torque it to 35 pound-feet. Lower the engine and retighten the transmission mount to crossmember nuts if you loosen them. Remove each oxygen sensor from the factory piping. Apply anti-seize to the oxygen sensors. Make sure you don't get these mixed up as they are side and location specific. Reinstall the upper oxygen sensors and tighten them down. Install an extension on the driver's side and connect each sensor. Use zip ties to ensure the harnesses are as far away as you can get them from the exhaust piping. Depending on the brand of header, install the extension pipes and use the appropriate clamps to secure them to the header collector. Reinstall the rear sensors and zip tie them away from the exhaust piping as well. Have a friend help you reinstall the catback. Tighten all the hardware associated with the catback. At this point, you can double check your work underneath the car. Back in the engine bay, reinstall and retighten the motor mount nuts. Reinstall the cold air intake assembly and reconnect the negative battery cable. Double check everything in the engine bay. Now you can go ahead and load your custom tune. Once the tune is loaded, start the car and check for exhaust leaks. It's also important to note that there will be some weird smells and smoke for a few minutes as the assembly oils burn off of the piping. Now you can enjoy the fruits of your labor and take the car for a spin. So with the long tube headers and custom tune on the car, it's time for some results. Well, in typical LMR fashion, we're going to provide you with those results. I already have the car loaded on the dyno, and I'm ready to make a hit. All right, let's take a look at the numbers. Our 2018 GT made 666 horsepower at 7,200 RPM and 594 foot-pounds of torque at 4,500 RPM. Better yet, we saw gains throughout the curve of 50+ horsepower and 50+ foot-pounds of torque. Now, for those of you that are wondering, the curve gains is what gives you that seat of the pants feel. Overall, from what I've seen, these results are pretty much the norm for boosted Gen 3 Coyotes. Now, one last thing before we sign off. Guys, remember, before installing long tube headers, be sure and check with your local laws and regulations. That way you don't run into any trouble. To see more how-to and review videos covering industry-leading products, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Like and share this video, and don't forget to turn on notifications. While you're at it, check out our other videos, and for all things 1979 to present Mustang and SVT Lightning, keep it right here with the Real Enthusiasts, LMR.com.